All right, so I watched Avatar: The Way of Water. This is the sequel to Avatar, the first Avatar, Avatar with no subtitle. It is the biggest movie of all time. And this has been 13 years in the making. And in that time, they have managed to make a movie that is entirely okay. I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of the first Avatar movie. It just never really vibed with me. I honestly just think it's kind of boring. This is an improvement because overall I enjoy this movie, but I guess to get started, I'll just say the visuals obviously are stunning. I mean, it just a marvel to look at. Speaking of Marvel, I've been kind of getting jaded by a lot of bad Marvel CGI, so this was a treat, a treat for the eyes to look at. Yeah, like definitely watch this in a theater. I don't think you need to watch it in 3D. Honestly, I watched it in 3D. It's the first 3D movie I've seen in a while. I don't like 3D. It kind of gives me a headache. I have to put like glasses over my glasses, which is annoying. I don't think you need to watch it in 3D. I think just looking at how good the visual effects are is enough. If anything, the 3D kind of distracted me for a lot of it and really didn't allow me to like truly immerse myself in the story. And I guess a good part of that is because of just how not great the story is. Um, I think that like when the movie started, I was like, oh really? There's just gonna be this Avatar again, really? But then they go in different directions that I think were interesting. And I don't think that there's anything overtly like terrible about the narrative of this of the movie, but I think there are just a couple things that really bring it down. First of all, it's way too long. I mean, it is 3 hours and like 14 minutes. It does not need to be that long. Um, and there are just a couple of characters that are like one of them is poorly acted. Minor spoilers: the human character is bad. he's he's so I thought the actor just did a terrible job, and like I yeah, no offense to that guy, just not very good. And then Sigourney Weaver plays a 14-year-old in this. And I heard about that and I was like, that's really weird. And you learn why when you watch the movie, but it doesn't justify it because it's weird. Hearing Sigourney Weaver's voice come out of a 14-year-old's body is weird. I never got used to it. It took me out of every single scene she was in. Uh, I baffling choice to me, but it's what they went with. But then and then a lot of the stuff that worked was also just okay. This is very much a movie about family and about you know what would you do to protect your family, and then there's also a lot of like activist messaging about like protecting the oceans and stuff like that. That's kind of the because obviously the first movie is a lot about colonization and stuff like that, and that's still a factor in this movie. But I think the bigger push that James Cameron is doing is about protecting the ocean and protecting ocean life and stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff is very like very heavy-handed, I would say. Like I'm not offended by it. I'm not like one of these guys like woke, woke, they're pushing the wokeness too hard. It's not like that. It's just like very overt, and I find that this was the case with the first Avatar too, as well. That like the bad guys are just like cartoonish at times. I'm like, okay, geez, like can we calm down? Like I think that's really my biggest critique of these two movies is that the bad guys are always like so overtly cartoonishly evil, which maybe isn't even unrealistic because I mean when you think about the people that do these things in real life and that did these things in real life, I mean they were probably the same, but I don't know, it's always just stands out as being like so cartoonishly evil. um but yeah, I don't know, it's a fine movie. Like there's nothing like horrendous about it, it's all very fine. I think there are just a couple elements, right? Those two performances and those two decisions that I mentioned before just like kind of take me out of every scene that those two characters are in. But even still, there is absolutely some genuine heart, some genuine emotion. You're gonna get lost in the world of Pandora, and that's cool. And I mean, I do agree with a lot of the messages that they put in the movie. So overall, it's a good movie. I would recommend it. I recommend you watch it in a theater, the biggest theater possible. I don't think you need to watch it in 3D. I don't think 3D is it's a gimmick, and I don't think it's necessary. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe my theater just didn't have the right projectors to do it. I never once noticed any frame rate changes. I don't because I don't know. I've heard that like a lot of theaters like the projectors really aren't capable of doing like all the technological stuff that James Cameron was doing. So I didn't notice the frame rate changes. If they were there, then I guess they were pretty well done because I didn't notice them. But yeah, either way, I think just the visual effects are enough reason on their own. I don't think you need to worry about 3D or whatever the frame rate stuff is. And yeah, let me know what you think about the movie down below. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Did you are you? I can't think of an outro. Bye.